All right, welcome back. My name is Andy, and we're going to go through the rest of this course. We received some notes on our sequence. Let's go through the sequence again. This was all fine. The shot was good. This is the shot where we got notes. I'll show you in a second. Let's just finish out the sequence. All right, cool. So let me pull up the notes. We got a draw over, and I will pull up the actual notes. Notes. Shot 30. That is this shot right here. This was shot 30. Let me double check. Yep, that's shot 30. The notes were make the lightning more dynamic, maybe closer to frame. A little vague, but actually I've had more vague, so that's perfectly fine. We also got a draw over here. So instead of the lightning coming off to the side here, as we can see in this shot, play this again, these lightning strikes, how they're coming off to the side, we might actually want to take something like this, and we want to have it sort of come into the extreme foreground here, maybe a little past camera, kind of like this drawing shows. And in addition to making the shot a little more, making the lightning more dynamic, we're actually going to add a little camera shake to match sort of what we have here in this last shot. Whenever the lightning strikes, we have a camera shake. And we're going to mimic that. We're going to put that in this shot as well. So let's dive into it. Okay, so I have this shot open. I can do a quick playthrough. Probably not going to play it real time, but that's okay. All right, so I am going to version up the scene. Always important that we don't save over our work. All right, so since we've versioned up, I'm going to grab this lightning group, and I believe it's this one. Sweet. So I am just going to kind of rotate it here. Let's get into a perspective. I'm going to just scale this, and it's going to go past camera here. I might actually add, to help with this, since this is a card, this is a series of cards, so it's a 2D effect, and I want to make sure that this really reads as a three-dimensional effect, like it's really coming into the foreground here from the background. We're going straight past the midground. That's actually looking pretty cool. Let's see what this looks like. That actually looks cool. We might actually just have a few more lightning forks here. So what I can do is I can take this last card here, and I am going to just do a Control-C, Control-V, so I'm going to copy and paste. Normally this is sort of a risky move, especially if things are parent constrained. If you have a parent constraint on something, or if it's a rig, you don't want to do that because it might accidentally recreate the entire rig. But in this case, this is a real quick way to keep the animation of this new asset. So now we have this card duplicated, but also more importantly, because we're working with these cards, it duplicates the shader. That way we can adjust the timing. If it's a movie shader and it's a type of zoetrope or if an effect, we can adjust that, and we can adjust the alpha, we can adjust the color of that, and it won't affect our original effect card as a duplicate special would, unfortunately. So I'm going to come over here. The card looks a little skewed. That's fine. That's kind of the nature of the way we quickly transformed that card. I'm going to sort of roughly place it in here. Let's bring up our camera angle again. And I might just bring that a little closer. Maybe I'll try it. Ooh. Yeah, something like this. Definitely is going to be a little more dynamic. I'm just going to make sure these are snapped. Oh well. So actually, I want this to maybe be delayed so that we can sort of visually read as it's happening. And since these are too close together, I'm just going to scale this out so those keyframes don't collapse on each other. There we go. That should be fine. See there, we have a little delay. I think that's going to help it read a lot better. maybe just a few, like a frame or two, maybe two. Let's do that. Okay, I think for right now that works. I'm actually gonna lift this up just a little bit because we're traveling right past it. Maybe I'll slow this down just a little bit. I'm gonna scale these keys out just a little bit, see if that gives us anything. Yeah. Definitely pushing that in the foreground. We could add later if we need to. When we turn on some lights, we could add a light as well. But for right now, we are just going to add a little camera shake to sell this. Looks like we have our camera shake, but it's really low. So right here, when the lightning strikes, I'm going to come over and I'm going to make this really, I'm going to scale these keys down or scale them closer together. Let's see, where's my scale tool? There it is. That way, when it hits, we're going to get a nice solid jump. And we're going to kind of go for a sine wave pattern here. I'll show you in a second. These are going to be relatively flat. We can scale this out just so we can keep that camera shake. It's just a little camera shake. So I'm going to come into the individual X and Y rotations. We'll make that. And I'm going to increase basically the intensity as it starts. And then we can taper it off as the lightning starts to fade. Kind of like that. You can see that sine wave pattern. There we go. We can see that hit now. I'm going to just do that same in the Y and the Z. Normally, if you're working in a larger studio, they do have cameras with a shake attribute built in that you can just sort of animate. You don't have to create these random keys and create this sine wave pattern. You'll get sort of free shake, as it were. But right now we're just creating our own shake very quickly, just so we can have some representation of when this happens. And you always want to make sure that the tilt or the z-axis is going to be much less intense than the X and Y. It just makes the audience a little more nauseated when the camera is rotating like this as opposed to up and down, so tilting up and down or panning left and right. So the Z-axis I always just scale down, so it's just barely noticeable. There we go. I think that's looking pretty good. Let's take one more look at it. Boom, boom. And let's turn on the lights in this scene and the shadows. We'll let it load. All right, the trees are back in. I'm going to save my scene version up. So version 10, it looks like, is going to be the version that is going to be locked to the Playblast. I want to find that folder under Edit, Playblast, where we're keeping these. So it's shot 30, but instead of version 6, it's version 10. Let's Playblast this out. Okay, now that's Playblasted out. We'll take a look real quick. It looks pretty decent. Let's slide that into the edit and see what it looks like. So in this sequence, what we learned was we started from a list of ideas. We wrote out some sequence ideas. We had 4 sequences ideas here. We selected this magic scene sequence as the sequence that we were going to move forward with. We also wrote out a list of shot beats. So here we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 shots, which we ended up with 6 shots. We rearranged a few of them, but we wrote out these beats so we had an idea of what we were doing. And we created this set that we have, this Magic Forest set. We used a combination of simple geometry, and we used the mesh editor for quick scattering and to create this populated forest. For the effects, we used a series of cards with alpha channels on them that we animated. We then added some lights into the scene to create a more dynamic feel. And then we added our character and our camera, and we started mapping out shots, and that's how we got the sequence with these 6 shots. That's all we have. Thank you for attending this course, and see you in the next one.